Kuklinski, we're going to conduct a plat search here. Put your arms out.
On May 25, 1988, Richard Kuklinski was convicted of multiple murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. This ended 30 years of cold-blooded killing by a master criminal police called the Iceman.
Richard Kuklinski is one of the most dangerous criminals we have ever come across in this state. He murdered by guns, he murdered by strangulation, he murdered by putting poison on victims' food. He did all of this at the same time while exhibiting a normal, placid family existence. His wife, his children were uninvolved in his criminal activities. Yet, we are faced with evidence, convicting evidence of numerous grisly murders.
How many people have you killed?
I have an approximate guess. Approximate will go with more than 100.
How do you feel about killing?
I don't. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't have a feeling one way or the other. I think if I had a choice, I wouldn't.
The following program is based on 17 hours of an interview conducted under maximum security at Trenton State Prison. Law enforcement officials allowed our cameras unprecedented access in an attempt to uncover details of various unsolved crimes. It was also hoped that the interview would help to penetrate the mind of Richard Kuklinski, a mind made for murder.
Richard, when you were on the streets, what kind of weapons did you use?
When I was out on the street to do something, I carried 3 guns and a knife. I had a Derringer in each pocket. And a gun on my ankle, a bigger gun just in case, and a knife. And it all depends how it came about.
You indicated yesterday that you used a shotgun to grab a stoplight or something like that, or?
I had a red light. We were following this fella. We pulled up at a red light, came alongside of him, and shot the shotgun, took his head off. He never saw the green light. It was a sawed-off shotgun. It was very, as a matter of fact, when it happened, it surprised me. I expected the man to die, but it really surprised me when it took his head off. It was something I didn't expect.
Richard Kuklinski is not a serial killer. He's not a drug-crazed, wild man running around with a machine gun. He's not a person that is driven by perverse sexual desires. He doesn't drink. He doesn't gamble. All of these things, which many persons that are involved in killing and murders often are motivated by. Richard Kuklinski, instead, is nothing more than a predator on human beings. His motivation is greed, and his method of murder is very varied and very extreme.
Richard, I understand that you're an expert at the use of cyanide. How many times did you kill with it?
Quite a few.
What's the different ways you use cyanide?
You could put it in liquid form. You could, person could say, for instance, a person could be in a bar. You bunk into them possibly by mistake, or say you were intoxicated, spill the drink on them, and leave. Everybody just looks around, thinks you were drunk or that you just had an accident or something, and meanwhile, it's soaking through their clothes into their pores and into their system. And eventually, they'll die. I've been in a restaurant where we were eating, and the guy went to the bathroom, and while he was in the bathroom, we put a little boost in his food, and he was rushed to the hospital after that, and he died, and they buried him. I'm not exactly sure what they attributed his death to, but you know, it wasn't homicide.
Somewhere, and I don't know where, he picked up on cyanide poisoning as being a good way, a good, quick way to kill somebody. It's such a good way to kill somebody that that's the gas that's used in gas chambers. I mean, cyanide in a gas form, which is similar to cyanide in a being eaten form, kills very quickly. It kills faster than arsenic, faster than strychnine, and it's hard to detect if it isn't specifically looked for.
He murdered, sometimes months apart, years apart. He used different methods. He would go so far as to plan in his crimes the actual deceit of law enforcement. By that I mean he would on occasion murder someone, cut their body, wrap them in layer after layer of plastic bags and material, and then deposit the body many, many miles from the murder scene.
What is it to dispose of something? You throw it away. You throw it anywhere. It all depends if you don't want it found or if you want it found. If you want it found, it doesn't matter, you just leave it there. If you don't want it found, you could take it somewhere. You could bury it. You could put it in a big drum. You could put it in the trunk of a car and have it crushed. You leave it in town, you can put it on a park bench. I mean, you know, you can put it anywhere you want. They found a few people sitting on park benches, I'm sure. As a matter of fact, I know they have.
Are there any murders that you committed that haunt you, that you just sort of you feel and you
Nothing haunts me. No murders haunt me. Nothing. I don't think about it. That's why it's hard for me to tell you. In order for me to be able to tell you when something happened, I'd have to think about when. If I think about it, it would wind up hurting me. So I don't think about it. If I had a choice, and of course you has already said to me, we all have choices. Maybe we do. At the time I didn't seem to have one. But if I could have, I would like to be different than what I am. I would have liked to have been different than what I was, yes. It would be better. It would have been better for me. I would have liked to have had a better outlook on life. But I can't change yesterday.
Richard Kuklinski was born April 11, 1935, in a low-income public housing project in Jersey City. His father was a brakeman for the railroad, and his mother worked in a meatpacking plant.
I didn't like my father, as he would beat me just because he felt like it, to get my attention, I guess. He would think nothing of coming in and smacking you know, basically. He'd just come in and give you a whooping for no reason whatsoever. And my mother was cancer. She would destroy everybody. She thought I took too long to do something. She didn't hesitate to give me a swat here and there. And she didn't just use her hand. She would hit me with a broomstick or something like that. It hurt. As a matter of fact, she broke the broom on me more than once.
Richard's mother believed that harsh discipline at home should go hand in hand with a rigid religious education.
I was raised Catholic. She was strict as far as the religion goes. I went to...
Your mother?
My mother, yeah. My mother, we went to Catholic grammar school. And we were raised with the Catholic belief. I was even an altar boy. But during the course of my life, I don't really believe it. It's just the way it happened. Didn't mean it to happen that way, but it just happened that way.
When his father abandoned the family, Richard, a skinny, timid young teenager, was left to fend for himself. He was an easy target for street gangs, but by the time he was 16, things began to change.
When I was a young man, I found out that if you hurt somebody, they'll leave you alone. Good guys do finish last. When I tried to leave everybody alone, just do my own thing, everybody just wanted to hurt me. Until one day I just decided, well, I've had enough of this picking. And I went upstairs and I took a bar, which the clothes used to hang on in the closet. And I went back downstairs and there were like 6 young men still figuring they were gonna mess with my head, and we went to war. To their surprise, I was no longer taking the beating. I was giving it. And that's when I learned that it was better to give than to receive. I've been known to hurt people for no reason. If you check out my background as I came up, I could be anywhere, and if somebody humiliated me, I would think nothing of hitting them with a cue stick. In an instant. And the only thing they might have done was made me feel bad or challenge my authority at the time.
Kuklinski's reputation as a tough guy with a hair-trigger temper grew. By the time he was 18, the abused had become the abuser. It wasn't long before he committed his first murder.
I got into a fight in a bar. We got into an argument, a fight. And I hit him with a cue stick. A few too many times. And he died.
How'd you feel after when you found out he had died?
I had felt very bad. Very, very bad. I was upset. I didn't mean to do it, actually. But surprisingly, I felt sadness, and after a while, I felt something else. I didn't feel sad. It was sad along with some sort of a rush that I had control. And if you mess with me, I guess if you mess with me, I'll hurt you.
By the time he'd reached his 20s, Kuklinski had become a petty crook and pool hustler. Then his life changed. In 1960, he met a pretty 19-year-old girl named Barbara Pedrin.
He was absolutely flowers at the door every day and considerate and romantic and all of the things that anybody could hope for, dream for. He bought me beautiful things. We went fun places. He was happiest when we were together. He was happiest when just he and I were together.
He and Barbara had 3 children. But with just an 8th grade education, he could only get low-paying jobs that didn't pay enough to support his growing family.
I didn't have the capability of getting a better paying job. Was I gonna push a yarn truck the rest of my life? Make menial amount of money? I couldn't have afforded 1 child, let alone 3.
He went to work at a film lab, where he began to pirate pornographic films and sell them to outside sources connected to the Gambino crime family. This connection led to other criminal activities, and it wasn't long before he went from being a small-time hood to a big-time killer. He worked as a hitman and associated with a gang that worked out of the notorious Gemini Lounge in Brooklyn. Above the lounge was a mafia killing factory where victims were killed and dismembered. Hacked bodies were packaged in plastic bags and carted away. Kuklinski was the perfect enforcer. He was brutal, and he knew how to intimidate. If people owed money, they either paid up or paid with their lives.
Most people paid their bills. Some didn't. I remember one guy, he was owed a lot of money. Well, I guess a considerable amount of money. He thought he could hide behind a door. It was a nice door, expensive door. Anyway, most people don't realize that when you come to answer a door, if there's light in the background, the person on the outside can look through the peephole and see the guy coming to the door. So he came to the door, I asked who it was, and he looked through the peephole. And he never saw what hit him.
For Richard Kuklinski, murder had become a way of life, and the macabre became the commonplace.
Would you ever use a chainsaw? I mean,
To cut someone up? Yes. I've done that. To dismember them, yes. Not to kill them, no.
what was it like to cut somebody up with a the other guy was dead? How did it feel to cut some guy up with a chainsaw?
I didn't have any feeling one way or the other. That just happened. That's the way it had to be.
Messy.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Did it make you sick?
No. I've had requests where the guy wanted the guy's tongue cut out. And he also wanted his tongue put in his rear end. So I believe there was a definite point he wanted to get across. I have an experience that I don't know if I should tell you. that it probably would offend a lot of people. I don't know. I don't think I'll go into that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not a good one.
No, go ahead. Tell
There was a man, he was begging and pleading and praying, I guess. And he was pleased God and all over the place. So I told him he could have a half hour to pray to God. And if God could come down and change the circumstances, he'd have that time. But God never showed up. And he never changed the circumstances. And that was that. It wasn't too nice. That's one thing I shouldn't have done, that one. I shouldn't have done it that way.
By the 1970s, between his illegal activities and contract killings, he was becoming a wealthy man. He now lived in an expensive home in a middle-class neighborhood with his wife and 3 children.
Richard, what did you charge for a hit?
If I hit somebody, I wouldn't hit it for peanuts. I'd like to have some money. I say if I were to do somebody, I want at least 5 figures. And at least up in the better half, not the lower half of the 5 figures.
Kuklinski kept his criminal life secret from his family and neighbors. He told them he was a businessman. No one knew his business was murder.
We were perfect. My children were never in trouble. We were perfect. We were the all-American family. I mean, we had what seemed to be the perfect life. There were wonderful times. And time with his family was the only thing that he was really concerned. I mean, if he never had to leave the house, he would have loved it. He hated to have to travel. He hated to go away. He came back as soon as he can. He wanted to be home all the time. He wanted to be with us all the time.
I enjoyed that way of life. I felt I had achieved something. I very seldom left the house unless I had to, because I felt secure in the house. I felt very secure. I tried to provide the best for them as I knew how. Might not have been the right way to go, but it was, for me, the only way. I tried to never let anything touch the house. I brought nobody there. My family was not exposed to anybody. I wanted to show them the good side of life, not the bad side.
Richard had a very, very sad childhood. You got the impression, or I knew because he would like say something and then drop it and change the subject, that he was abused and that there was no love. He grew up absolutely without any love, without a doubt. I mean, the first Christmas with my family, he was in awe. He couldn't believe it. It was a tree and everyone was cooking special things and there was lots that we were laughing and it was fun, and he kept saying, I can't believe that this is what happens.
It was a Jekyll and Hyde existence. the way it was, the way I wanted it to be, with absolutely two different lives. I wanted one life. I had to have another life.
This other life would interrupt one Christmas Eve. While his family was celebrating the holidays, Kuklinski left his home to collect on a bad debt. Business was business, even on Christmas Eve.
The man owed me money. He was giving me a runaround. I told him I wasn't happy that he wasn't going to pay me. Hey, he had the attitude that nobody could hurt him. I think he was wrong. Anyway, he never saw Christmas.
What did you use?
A gun. Extremely loud inside of a car. Matter of fact, my ears were ringing for a long time.
What'd you do afterwards?
I walked away, got in my car, and went home.
What'd you do when you got home?
I put toys together for the kids for Christmas. I saw the broadcast while I was putting the toys together. It came down. Mob-related killing. That was the first time I knew I was mob-related.
How'd you feel?
I was annoyed I couldn't get the damn wagon together.
I never questioned him, and you just knew, don't do it, don't ask. If he got up at 2 o'clock in the morning or during dinner and put on his shoes and walked out the door, you said bye. You didn't say, where are you going or why are you going? And it was just understood that that's the way it was. He was very private. You only knew what he wanted you to know.
By the 1980s, after 25 years of working as a hitman for the mob, Richard Kuklinski became the head of his own crime ring. He developed new ways to profit from murder. The case of Paul Hoffman was typical of the way he operated. On the afternoon of April 29, 1982, Hoffman arrived at a warehouse leased by Kuklinski. Like numerous victims of the Iceman, he had been set up for a phony business deal.
Paul Hoffman was a pharmacist, and he was looking for a quick buck. He was out to purchase a drug called Tagament, which was at the time a wonder drug for ulcers. And he felt that if he could purchase a large quantity of this Tagament at a very low price, that he could indeed make a huge profit on that. And that was the alleged deal that he had with Richard Kuklinski.
When Paul Hoffman showed up to buy the Tagament, he was carrying $25,000 in cash.
He took the bag, door opened it, showed me a whole mess of money, a whole mess of cash. He said, look, I got the money right here. There it is. And he came back. He says, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Well, how am I gonna get this merchandise? I put the gun under his chin, and I said, there is no merchandise. And I shot him. He didn't die. The gun jammed. He was gurgling. I had hit him. It was, blood was pouring out of his mouth. And He was in I would imagine it looked like he was in a lot of pain. So there was a tire iron there. I took the tire iron and hit him with it, which knocked him out. And he died. I then took him and put him in a 50-gallon drum, put it on the side of a motel. It was behind Harry's corner. I listened to the people. I went in Harry's every morning. The thing was there for a long time. I looked at it every day. It was there. I went in Harry's every day. One day it was just missing. Continued to go in Harry's to see if anything was said about it. Nothing was said. I don't know what happened to the drum.
By the 1980s, Kuklinski was involved in narcotics, pornography, arms dealing, money laundering, hijacking, and contract killing on a worldwide basis. He was also pressing 50 and getting tired. He started to make mistakes. He began to leave traces, and law enforcement officers who had suspected him over the years began gathering evidence. Kuklinski would protect himself by killing anyone who could testify against him. On December 27, 1982, a body was discovered at the York Motel in New Jersey. The body was identified as Gary Smith, 37. Smith had been given cyanide and then strangled to death. This was the first of many mistakes Kuklinski was to commit.
Gary Smith was found under a motel bed in New Jersey, as I recall, where some 20 people had used the room in 5 days and nobody had realized there was a rotting body underneath it. The body was found in a decomposed state. It was very hot weather. Smith would have not been identified as a murder victim if he had died only of the cyanide. If the cyanide had worked and he had died, and he didn't need to be strangled, that ligature mark around the neck wouldn't have been seen, and he would have been possibly a drug addict overdose, or lots of other things of a non-homicidal nature would have to be considered.
On September 25, 1983, the body of Louis Masgay was found. As he had done many times before to confuse the time of death, Kuklinski had frozen the body in an industrial freezer. This was the murder that earned him the name of Iceman. This murder was also his second deadly mistake.
He did too good a job on that body because he left that body in the freezer for 2 years, then took the body out and dumped it in Rockland County, and the body was found before it had fully thawed out. So the doctor doing the autopsy, the medical examiner in Rockland County, when he opened the body up, saw ice inside the body in the summer's day and said, there's something wrong here. This guy could not have died 2 days ago the way he looks like from the outside.
On May 14, 1983, a bicyclist was riding down a lonely road in a wooded area and saw a buzzard feeding on a body. It was Daniel Deppner, 44, the third business associate of Richard Kuklinski, to be found dead. The body count grew. There would soon be 5 unsolved murders with one thing in common. The last person to see the victims alive had been Richard Kuklinski. After 30 years of getting away with murder, Richard Kuklinski's time was running out. He had been under investigation for 3 years, and the police were beginning to put the pieces together.
What I told my superiors in Trenton was that, hey, look, you know, we can check with the FBI and we can see that there's a certain number of given serial killers roaming around this country of ours. But take a good hard look at what we got here. We got Richie Kuklinski, and there's only one of him.
In 1986, a division of the New Jersey Criminal Justice Department set up a task force made up of federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. The task force analyzed existing investigative material and gathered new information. They had one mission: to arrest and convict Richard Kuklinski.
When I first read the file, which at the time was nothing more than a compilation of several different unsolved homicides, the more you looked for connections, the less you found in this particular case, because there was different types of murders, different devices used. The final method that was used was, in fact, the introduction of a undercover federal agent, Dominic Polifrone, who was able to win Mr. Kuklinski's confidence and was able to record conversations where he detailed his participation in these murders.
I portrayed myself as a hitman. Told him I worked for the wise guys downtown New York, and my brother was a good fella downtown, and I went by the name of Dominic Michael Provenzano.
You willing to go out on a contract? If the price is right, I'll talk to anybody. Yeah? Sure. And you mean to tell me your way is nice and clean and nothing fucking shows up? Well, it may show, my friend, but it's quiet. It's not messy. It's not noisy. It's not, you know. Yeah, but how the fuck do you put it together, like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, there's always a way. There's a will, there's a way, my friend.
We used to sit down, we talk. Either we'd go to those tables over there and get away from people, and we discuss how to murder people.
You know, I just have a few problems I want to dispose of. I have some rats I want to get rid of. Yeah. The only fucking thing I don't understand, don't you use a fucking piece of iron to get rid of these fucking people? You use this fucking cyanide? Why be messy? You can do it nice and calm.
It became apparent at later points in the investigation that Mr. Kuklinski fully intended on murdering Dominic Polifrone, in addition to the victims that were being discussed at the time they were having these tape-recorded conversations. So he could pretty much tell Dominic Polifrone anything, because he knew shortly that he had plans for Mr. Polifrone too.
You put that stuff in a mist, you spray it in somebody's face, and they go to sleep. No shit. As long as he's dead, that's the bottom line. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? No matter how it was done, I mean, I know guys that went to sleep and never woke up again. I mean, you know.
He says he had one guy, he went and get a hamburger, they come back and he put the cyanide on his hamburger. And we're sitting down and he's telling me, he says, you wouldn't believe it. He says, I'm waiting for this guy to keel over. He says, because once you eat cyanide, usually you'd roll over and that's it. He says, this guy had the constitution of a fucking bull. He says, you wouldn't believe it. He says he wouldn't die, and we're both laughing about this. And I'm saying in the back of my mind, I said, holy God. I said, look at this. I said, what kind of person is this? I said to myself right there, I said, you better cover your butt. I said, because you just don't know with this guy. And he'd be kidding about it, and I'd be laughing. In the back of my mind, I'm saying, this is the devil. No question about it, this is the devil.
On December 17, 1986, the Special Task Force set up a roadblock and arrested Richard Kuklinski outside his home in Dumont, New Jersey. They felt they had all the evidence they needed for a conviction.
The whole road was blocked off with cops. Local police, state police, Division of Criminal Justice investigators, county personnel. There was no place for him to go, so he stopped his car. He was told to get out of the car, and he did not. So he was taken out of the car, and he was placed face down on a street in a position where we thought we were safe. And then I handcuffed him. That guy's big. I did everything I could to get one click on the handcuffs. And later on, I tried to put leg irons on him, and there's no way they would go on. They just wouldn't go on.
Law enforcement authorities have arrested one of the most notorious contract killers in state history. A self-employed Bergen County man is behind bars, charged with 5 murders, and prosecutors are investigating his involvement in dozens more.
This is unwarranted.
Unnecessary. These guys watch too many movies.
He is such a cold-blooded killer, they call him the Iceman. After being convicted of 2 murders, he confessed to 2 others in court today.
I shot George Melvin 5 times. Louis Masgay on July 1st, 1981. I shot him once in the back of the head.
When the judge asked him why he had killed the 2 men, Kuklinski replied,
It was due to business.
Dominic Polifrone's tapes had nailed Kuklinski, but in court, the Iceman greeted the undercover cop with a smile.
He seemed to be quite cheery about saying hello to you.
Well, I reciprocated. The only thing is, I'm going home, and he's going to a different environment at the present time.
It wasn't real to us. We just had a hard time dealing with what was in the press. And I kept saying, no way, and I don't believe it. And then when I actually heard his voice, you know, in court, it was very hard to believe that he talked like that. It was very, very difficult to believe.
I've done it always. As far as you've known or heard, there isn't too many things I haven't tried. No matter how it was done. I mean, I know guys that went to sleep and never woke up again. I mean, you know.
The consensus of the federal, state, county, and local law enforcement agencies that were involved in this investigation is that Richard Kuklinski is one of the most dangerous criminals we have ever come across in this state. Further, it's our feeling that he is of such a diabolical, methodical type of killer that it's very possible that when all is said and done, we still may never know how many people he has actually killed.
What Richard has been accused of and found guilty of and spoke to you about goes against God and man. I have very strong feelings. I am totally anti-violence. I mean, as are my children. And I can't make those wrongs right. I can't make them right in my own mind. We are Richard Kuklinski's family, and we aren't ourselves anymore. We're Richard Kuklinski's family.
I've never felt sorry for anything I've done other than hurting my family. The only thing I feel sorry for. I'm not looking for forgiveness, and I'm not repenting. No, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I do want my family to forgive me. Oh, boy. I can make this one. Oh, shit. This would never be me. This would not be me. I feel for my family. You see the Iceman cry. Not very macho. But I've hurt people that mean everything to me. But the only people that mean anything to me. I would move heaven, hell, and anything in between to get to you. You wouldn't be safe anywhere if I was mad at you. And that's not bold, Dip, that's truth. I've went up against people. You could pull a gun on me, and if I'm mad at you, I'm coming forward. You'd have to shoot me to stop me. And if you don't kill me, you're stupid. So next time you see me, I will kill you.
Mr. Kuklinski, we're going to conduct a plant search here. Put your arms out.
In 1991, Richard Kuklinski, a contract killer known as the Iceman, was interviewed by HBO for an America Undercover special.
How many people have you killed?
Oh, an approximate guess. Approximate, we'll go. More than 100.
After a lifetime of killing for hire, Kuklinski was finally caught by an undercover ATF agent wearing a hidden wire.
You willing to go out on a contract? If the price is right, I'll talk to anybody. Yeah, but how the fuck do you put it together, like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, there's always a way. There's a will, there's a way, my friend.
Richard Kuklinski is one of the most dangerous criminals we have ever come across in this state. He murdered by guns. He murdered by strangulation. He murdered by putting poison on victims' food. He did of all of this at the same time while exhibiting a normal, placid family existence. His wife, his children were uninvolved in his criminal activities. Yet, we are faced with evidence, convicting evidence of numerous grisly murders.
In 1986, the ATF and the New Jersey Organized Crime Task Force set up a roadblock outside Kuklinski's home. It took 5 men to bring down the 6'5", 300-pound killer and force handcuffs on him. The Iceman's career as a master criminal was finally over. Richard Kuklinski knows he will never get out of jail. With nothing left to lose, Kuklinski reveals new secrets about the years he spent as a contract killer for the Gambino crime family, and tells what happened in his life that turned him into a man law enforcement called the Iceman.
I hated my father. If I could have, I probably would have killed him. Probably would have felt good about it, too. My father would beat me just if I looked at him. He gave me this impersonal feeling I have to when people die in front of me, especially loudmouth people. Loudmouth people remind me of my father. Once a loudmouth person starts with me, I love it. That's the only excuse I need.
One night in a bar, a loudmouth made the mistake of insulting the 18-year-old Kuklinski in front of people. A couple of hours later, the Iceman saw his chance to get even.
I come out of this bar and I see him sleeping in his car. I said, I got you, little sucker, now I got you. I'm gonna light your fire. And I did. I got myself a bottle, some gasoline, and I threw it in the car with him. And he was screaming and yelling and burning, and the car burned. And I could smell him. Walked down the block and I could hear him as I turned the corner. He was still yelling. This was a personal thing, yes. See, this was a guy I disliked.
What did he do to you?
He made me mad.
By the age of 25, Richard Kuklinski had no problem with murder. But now he wanted to get paid for it. There was money in contract killing. To prove himself, he auditioned for Mafia capo Roy DeMeo.
Said, well, I would expect you to, if you came with me, I'd expect you to, if I told you to whack somebody, you'd whack him. Without any question. So I said, well, I could probably do that. He says, you probably could do it, or could you do it? Do you think you could do it? And I said, yeah, I think I could do it. So he told Freddie to get the car, got the car, he and I got in the back seat, Freddie was driving. We drove someplace, I don't know where it was someplace in New York. And we were sitting there for a while. We got to wherever we were going. We were sitting there for a while, and a man came in the distance. He was walking his dog, it looked like. So he said, all right, take this guy down. I said, which guy are we talking about here? So he says, the man walking the dog. So I got out of the car and I started walking towards the man. And the man was walking his dog just like a regular guy. As he passed me, I turned around and shot him. Freddie and Roy pulled up in the car, I got in the car, and we drove away. And that is how I got involved with Roy, with doing things like that.
Roy DeMeo's hangout was the Gemini Lounge in Brooklyn, New York. It was a house of horrors where over 100 people were murdered, chopped up, and disposed of by DeMeo and his gang of lethal contract killers. After proving himself, Kuklinski quickly became one of DeMeo's favorite enforcers. DeMeo ordered the hits, and Kuklinski executed them without question.
He wanted this guy taken care of. But he wanted to talk to him first. So when I got to the place, I asked the man for the money, so the guy says he didn't have it and Roy would just have to wait until he got the money to pay him. And that was that, he'd have to wait. So I said to the man, I said, well, you have to then talk to him. He wants to talk to you. So I dialed the phone number and he got on the phone and I said, he wants to talk to you. So he was talking to him and I guess they were acting like everything was all right because he got off the phone, he handed me the phone back. He says, hey, I told you he'd wait. He's in the better frame of mind. Don't worry about it. He wants to talk to you now. So I picked up the phone and he said, kill him. So I shot him. Hung up the phone and walked away. I am just a hard-working expediter of sorts. I looked at myself as a person who did something that somebody wanted done, and they paid me a good price.
In the early 80s, the Gambinos were feeling the heat of an intense investigation, which reached as high as their boss, Paul Castellano. As the pressure from law enforcement grew, the family began to worry about potential witnesses. One in particular presented a major problem. His name was Peter Calabro. The family ordered a hit, and Kuklinski was given the contract. On March 14, 1980, Kuklinski drove for hours on a snow-covered road in Saddle River, New Jersey, waiting for a call to come through on his walkie-talkie.
I get a call that they're on their way. So now they're coming. And it's snowing. The roads are very bad. A lot of snow, slipping and sliding. And I was in a van. So what I figured is, at the last moment I had a different plan, but at the last moment I decided, well, I'm gonna double park this thing. This will give me the edge because this will make him have only one way to come by, and that's he has to come right by this van. And I go to the back of the van, and I go out the back door. I take the shotgun with me, of course. So I kneel down, and I look under the van, so I can see where he's approximately at. And so I watch him come up to where he's almost in the front of the van, and I stood up. And as he's going by the van, I fired. I never knew the man, you know, what he looked like or what his job was. Then I found out the next day that he was police. But had I been told to do him anyway, and I knew he was the police, I most likely would have done it anyway. I don't think I would have said no.
Kuklinski had killed a cop who had gone bad, selling information to the Gambinos, a cop who was eliminated before he could turn state's witness. For Kuklinski, contracts like the Calabro murder were strictly business. They gave him the money he needed for his family. The Iceman was leading a double life. He lived on a quiet street in Bergen County, New Jersey, surrounded by neighbors who had no idea they were living next door to a mafia hitman. He was determined that no one, not even his own family, would ever find out who he really was.
I never questioned him, and you just knew, don't do it, don't ask. If he got up at 2 o'clock in the morning or during dinner and put on his shoes and walked out the door, you said bye. You didn't say, where are you going or why are you going? And it was just understood that that's the way it was.
I was the happiest when I was with Barbara. Never involved in anything I ever did. Never told her anything I did. If I did, I probably would have shocked the pants off her. She knew I had a violent temper, and I did have a violent temper. But I don't think she thought I would go as far as I did go.
Richard's time with his family was sacred, and any interference would throw him into a rage. It made him even more angry if it happened during the holidays.
This fella, he owed me about $1,600. So here we come Christmas Eve. And I go there and he says, nah, come with me, we'll go out, we'll have a good time, we'll party, we'll meet some broads with this, that, the other thing. And I said, no, I would really like the money. I gotta buy something, and he gave me a story, a bull story. So I left there. I was a little bit upset. Got on the bus, went home. I was putting the toys together for the kids, and this thing was really bugging me. It was annoying me. It was just making my whole disposition bad. Thought just occurred to me, this is bullshit.
It was Christmas Eve, after midnight. His family was sleeping. Kuklinski got in his car and drove to New York City.
I went to the bar. They told me he just left and he was parked a couple blocks down in the parking lot. I believe the parking lot was closed, but he was parked in there. I saw his car. His car was running, but it had snow on it. So I knocked on the door, and he said, "Hey, how are you? Glad to see you. Come on, sit down." So I go walk around the passenger side, sit down, talking to him. I said, "Look, I really need the money." I says, "You know, it's not right. You just been playing me like a fool here." I had this pistol in my hand, and he just was annoying me to no end with his babbling. And he was just going on and on. And I fired. And I couldn't see a damn thing because there was snow on the windows. And when that flash went off, I just had spots before my eyes. My ears were ringing because the noise inside the car when the gun went off. Couldn't hear, couldn't see. Then I panicked, because now I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I had caught the guy in the temple, and as he moved back, the second shot caught him in under the chin. Only about the time I could see, I reached in the man's pocket, and he had a roll of money. I took my $1,600 off him, put the rest of the money of it, that was his, in his pocket, got out of the car, and walked away. And that's what had happened one Christmas Eve in New York City.
The Iceman had killed by gun, by knife, by Molotov cocktail and cyanide. But he also liked to experiment.
Crossbows, I just popped the guy in the forehead with it. Actually, it was just seeing if it would work.
What was he doing at the time?
Looking at me?
Well, was he sitting down, or were you standing over him? Or?
No, he actually bent down to look in the car window like I was asking him directions. I didn't know the man.
Was this a contract murder, or was it something out of anger, or was it a personal thing?
Neither.
What was it?
I just wanted to see if this thing would work.
You mean you're experimenting on somebody?
Right.
Did it work?
It sure did. Went halfway into his head.
Kuklinski was always looking for new ways to get away with murder. In the 80s, a man who was nicknamed Mr. Softy teamed up with Kuklinski. This harmless-looking ice cream vendor was in reality an Army-trained demolitions expert who was a violent and vicious killer.
Mr. Softy was an individual by the name of Robert Pronge. He used to operate a Mr. Softy truck. That's why he got the name Mr. Softy. He became friendly with Kuklinski, very friendly with him. And it is our opinion that friendship led to Richard Kuklinski learning a lot about killing with different types of chemicals, including cyanide.
He taught me a lot, basically, but he was extremely crazy. But he would read all kinds of books on destruction and all kinds of ways to destroy somebody. He used to go around this Mr. Softy truck. That's how he used to spot people and get the outlay of the land, you know, where they were and easy ways. And sometimes he'd do it right from the truck.
And he sold ice cream?
Yes, he did. Sold Mr. Softy. He had one of those Mr. Softy trucks. Did you ever see them? That's what he sold.
And he sold ice cream to the little kids in the neighborhood?
Yes, he did. And that's what he did. He'd go into these neighborhoods and sell ice cream to the kids and maybe kill one of their fathers.
On August 9, 1984, Mr. Softy was found dead, hanging out of the driver's side seat in his Mr. Softy ice cream truck. He had been killed by multiple gunshot wounds to the head.
I think Kuklinski killed him because he used him for his information, he used him for his knowledge. He probably brought him around, brought him with him on certain jobs that he did. And it was time for the boss to make the decision that he didn't want any more loose ends. He may have said something the wrong way to Richie. Who knows? Whatever it was, Kuklinski, in my opinion, made the decision to kill him.
After Prongay's murder, Kuklinski was hired for a dangerous contract no one else would touch. It was here in a crowded discotheque that the cyanide killing techniques learned from Mr. Softy paid off.
Couldn't get to this person. He was in a disco. So I was really in a bad way because there was a time schedule involved. And I happened to be watching these people, and there was a couple of gay people dancing and whatever, and nobody was paying them no mind whatsoever. They were walking anywhere, going anywhere, because people basically don't look at gay people. But the idea came to me, yeah, try to act gay, but how in the hell am I gonna get by? A 300-pound gay man. I mean, you know, that's a little bit far-fetched. So I went to the extreme of far-fetched. I got this loudest costume you'd ever want to see on. I mean, I went full-blown gay person. Of course, maybe the other gay people are gonna be pissed off at me, but I'm not saying anything bad about them. But I got this canary yellow sweater and these bright pants, and I got these elevated shoes, which I'm told to be good. Now I got these thing shoes on, and I acted like a full-blown gay person. I mean, and I got on this thing, and I'm doing this like dancing bit, and I get onto this thing, and they got these lights, and I hate those lights, by the way, those strobe lights. Man, I hate those lights. You can't see good with them lights, and it messes up my eyes. So anyway, I'm trying to get close to this guy. So I'm doing this crazy thing. I'm acting real swishy. I guess that's what you would call it. And I get up close to this guy, and I bump into him. But everybody's bumping into everybody. And he had a heart attack. Because I had hypothermia, you know. When I bumped into him, I popped him with the needle.
What was in the needle?
In his case, a heart attack.
There was no doubt that Richard Kuklinski was a stone-cold killer, and most people thought that's why he was called the Iceman. But law enforcement had another reason for pinning this name on him. They called him the Iceman because, to confuse the time of death, he would take his victims and put them in a freezer for long periods of time. One such victim was a man named Louis Masgay.
He did too good a job on this body. After leaving the body in a freezer for over 2 years, he then took the body out and dumped it where it was found before it had thawed out. So when the medical examiner does the autopsy and opens the body up, he finds ice inside the body on a warm summer's day. The medical examiner says, there's something wrong here. This guy couldn't have died in the past few days.
After the discovery of the half-frozen body of Louis Masgay, the noose began to tighten around Kuklinski and his boss, Roy DeMeo. Under pressure from law enforcement, DeMeo began to act erratically, and the family felt he was about to crack and testify against them. There was no question in their minds, he had to go. In 1983, DeMeo's body was found in a trunk of a car. He had been shot 5 times and had been dead a week. There were some who thought Kuklinski might be responsible.
Do you know anything about his murder?
Who, DeMeo?
Yeah.
He outlived his usefulness. And he was running the wrong way. Apparently, everybody thought he was going to run to the law.
What did you feel when he was killed? How did you feel about it?
I was all broken up over it. I got a bridge for you, too. I want to sell you.
What?
I got a bridge for you, too. I want to sell you a bridge. I wasn't broken up over him. That was my attempt at levity. But I thought at the time it couldn't happen to a nicer person. If somebody had to die that day, it was a good day for him to die.
Over the next 3 years, the New Jersey Organized Crime Task Force concentrated on closing in on Kuklinski. When Kuklinski began to feel cornered, he started eliminating anyone who could implicate him in his criminal activities. If he called you friend, you had a problem. Yesterday's friend soon became tomorrow's enemy. One of those friends turned enemy was a man who had been Kuklinski's partner. His name was George Maliband.
Georgie boy. Yeah. Liked him. Actually, yeah, really liked him. One of the few people I ever really liked.
But Maliband had developed some bad habits. He racked up thousands of dollars in gambling debts to loan sharks. Kuklinski had vouched for him and told Maliband he'd better pay up. Then Maliband made a fatal mistake. He told Kuklinski that if he didn't back off, he would hurt his family.
Which really struck a nerve with me. it upset me, but I was trying not to get upset with it at that time. Because I figured he was just nervous maybe, and he was just spouting off, but apparently he wasn't.
But the Iceman couldn't forget that Maliband had threatened his family, and several weeks later he began to plan his murder.
We got in the van, and I asked George, "You really sincere with the fact that you had hurt my family and to get back at me?" And he said, "That's the only way I could get you. I could get over on you, get you to do what I wanted you to do, is to hurt your family." I said, "But that's a stupid thing to say, George." I said, "Knowing how badly or how sincere I am about my family," I said, "for you to say something like that, you must realize you're going to make me mad." He said, "No, you won't be mad." He said, "Because you'd be afraid that something would happen to your family." I said, "Well, you're very wrong about that, George." I said, "Because I'm going to put a stop to that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put a stop to that right now." And I shot him 5 times. I could see them entering, because he was right here. He was sitting in the van, I'm in the driver's seat, Georgie boy was over here. In the next seat, which was, you know, just like that. And I went pop, 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 and then I went pop, pop. And I could see the material moving on his jacket as these things. Actually, they made little marks on it, on the jacket. I guess they were burn marks. So.
Kuklinski's favorite way of disposing of bodies was putting them in barrels, but with a 6-foot, 300-pound George Maliband, it wasn't easy.
So when I got him in, I had a problem with one leg. I had a hell of a problem with the leg, I'll tell you. No matter what I did, I couldn't get that leg in there. So I had to cut it. And put the top on. And I drove down to Jersey City, where I dumped him.
The next morning, a passerby noticed a dented steel drum turned over on its side. When he walked over to get a closer look, he saw a pair of legs, one of them bloody and hacked. The body was George Maliband. Police knew Kuklinski was the last person to see him alive. The New Jersey Organized Crime Task Force now had just one mission: to gather the evidence to arrest and convict Richard Kuklinski.
The final method that was used was, in fact, the introduction of a undercover federal agent, Dominic Polifrone, who was able to win Mr. Kuklinski's confidence and was able to record conversations where he detailed his participation in these murders.
I portrayed myself as a hitman. I told him I worked for the wise guys downtown New York, and my brother was a good fella downtown, and I went by the name of Dominic Michael Provenzano.
You know, I just have a few problems I want to dispose of. I have some rats I want to get rid of. Yeah. The only fucking thing I don't understand, don't you use a fucking piece of iron to get rid of these fucking people? Use this fucking cyanide? Why be messy? You can do it nice and calm.
The tapes made by the undercover agent had nailed Richard Kuklinski, and his career as a contract killer was finally over. At his trial, his family learned for the first time that they really didn't know the Richard Kuklinski who was also capable of being the deadly Iceman. Richard Kuklinski is now serving multiple life sentences in New Jersey State Maximum Security Prison. Ironically, his younger brother Joey is also serving a life sentence in the same prison. When Joey was 25, he was convicted of raping and murdering a 12-year-old girl. After he strangled the girl, he dragged her body over 2 adjoining rooftops and threw her and her pet dog to the street 40 feet below.
Want to talk about your brother, or?
What do you want to talk about? There's nothing to talk about.
Because we never brought up your brother in the first show.
Well, you want to talk about him? We'll talk about him. He's been here for 25, 7 years, something like that. He's been here a long time, 25 years, I think. Don't hold me to that exactly, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty close.
And he's here for murder.
Yes.
What happened? How old was he when?
He was a young man. He was in his 20s, I believe.
And what went wrong in his case? Do you think he still was a product also of, you know, what you went through?
We come from the same father.
Do you see him, Richard?
I pass him.
What do you say? Just hello and keep on walking?
How you doing, Joe? How you? Take care.
That's it?
I told you I have dual short stories. That's being over friendly with my brother.
Does he try to talk to you?
He says less to me, as a matter of fact. Sometimes he doesn't even answer me, I don't think. Thinking about it.
That's too bad.
Depends how you look at it.
If by some miracle, Richard, you got out of here tomorrow, let's say. Let's, for the sake of argument, what would you do? Would you go back to that life, or would you do something else?
No. It's past me now. I have 10 years without violence. I don't really look forward to violence anymore. I don't even think I could play the game anymore. Probably get myself shot the first time out. I wouldn't do it anyway. I'd look to retire in a nice quiet place someplace. No banging doors, no people yelling and screaming. Somewhere if I wanted to think, I could just sit there and think.
Is there anything you wouldn't do, Richard, for a contract murder?
Yes.
What wouldn't you do?
I wouldn't kill the child. And most likely wouldn't kill a woman.
Did you ever let anyone go for whatever reason? Did you ever decide to let someone go?
Yes. But then I thought better of the idea and shot him anyway.
Did you ever murder anyone you liked?
All my friends did. At one point in time, I'm sure I liked them.
But not at the moment of killing them.
I might have even liked them then. Honor among thieves? There's no such thing. You see, because I was put in prison by a man I knew 30 years, and I liked him. Big mistake. I had one friend too many. I'm now serving multi-life sentences because of my one friend. And he's the only friend I didn't kill. Hoffa?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa.
Or the scuttlebutt, let's put it that way.
Scuttlebutt, he's in a Japanese car. Supposedly it was picked up, put in a drum, put in the trunk of a car, put in a crusher with other cars, crushed, and shipped overseas. That's what I heard. Don't know.
I think the last time I asked you that, you thought he was a Toyota.
Could be a Toyota. Some little Japanese car.